Networks will not be able to determine exact location with the option. So instead of seeing location down to an address, carriers might instead see the neighborhood where a device is located. That is a privacy feature that zero Android phones have built at the modem level. Interesting. And if you have made it this far, you already understand the iPhone 18 Pro better than 90% of the people who are going to buy it. That is not a compliment to them. That is a compliment to you for still being here. So, should you buy the iPhone 18 Pro? Here is my actual take. If you are on an iPhone 16 Pro or older, the jump is real. The A20 Pro chip, additional memory, and battery improvements suggest that users on iPhone 16 Pro hardware or older have a compelling case to wait until fall. The chip alone is worth it. The variable aperture, if you get the Pro Max, is a genuine first, not a gimmick, not a parlor trick. But if you are on an iPhone 17 Pro, this is not your year. The dynamic island reduction is visible but not transformative. The new colors are cosmetic. Variable aperture is the only genuinely architectural camera change, and it delivers its clearest benefit in video work and bright outdoor stills, not in everyday social media photography. And if you were specifically hoping the regular 18 Pro would get variable aperture, it probably won't. Buy accordingly. One more thing, Bob, and this is the part I have been sitting on since the start. This is being called one of the biggest leaks in Apple's history. Drop test footage of an actual iPhone 18 Pro unit is already circulating online. A drop test, months before launch. Apple's supply chain secrecy used to be legendary. The drop tests are timestamped to early 2026, meaning the device seen in the footage is more likely to be a prototype than the final unit. But still, Apple should be deeply uncomfortable right now, and what we can see from that footage is that the build looks solid, but the camera bump is noticeably larger. You are going to feel that in your pocket before you even open the camera app. That is the variable aperture catch. Nobody put together. The camera is better. The phone is thicker because of it. Worth it? Probably yes, but worth knowing. And if you want to understand exactly how the A20's 2-nanometer architecture compares to every iPhone chip going back to the A14, I built a full chip evolution breakdown on this channel. That context makes the efficiency gains we talked about today feel way more concrete. Link is below. So, September 2026 is almost here. Variable aperture on the Pro Max, a 20 Pro on both, a price bump that is smaller than feared but still real, and a standard iPhone 18 that does not exist until spring 2027. That is the full picture. Now, I want to know, are you upgrading to the 18 Pro Max specifically for the variable aperture and the camera? Or are you holding off to see what Apple actually ships and prices on stage? Drop it below. I read every single one. Picture this. You're standing outside on a blinding summer afternoon. You raise your phone to shoot a video. The sky is completely blown out, white wrecked. Every iPhone before this one would just deal with it. Computational tricks, tone mapping, a vibe. The iPhone 18 Pro Max has a camera lens that can physically open and close to control how much light enters the sensor. This gives you real hardware control over depth of field and low light performance rather than relying purely on software tricks. And that is a 17-year first. But here is the thing nobody is connecting right now. The new lens system is reportedly 50% more expensive to produce. Apple had to make a call, and the call they made is going to upset a lot of people who were planning to upgrade. I will tell you exactly which model gets the real camera and which one doesn't. That's coming. Stay with me. So, the iPhone 18 Pro, expected to launch in September 2026, featuring Apple's C2 modem and a shift to a 2-nanometer manufacturing process for the A20 Pro chip. I have been tracking every leak, every supply chain report, and every credible analyst call since late 2024. Apple has confirmed nothing officially. Everything here is drawn from supply chain analysts, hardware suppliers, and industry publications as of late June 2026. And what I keep coming back to is this: the upgrade story for this phone is actually two completely different stories depending on which model you are looking at. That split is the thing most coverage is glossing over. We are going to fix that today. Let's start with the headline. At the core of the iPhone 18 Pro's innovation is its mechanical variable aperture, a feature that allows precise control over the amount of light entering the lens, optimizing image quality across various lighting conditions. Whether you're capturing photos in bright daylight or low light environments. Now, on paper, that sounds transformational, and in some ways, it genuinely is. The lens physically adjusts between f1.4 maximum light intake, shallow depth of field, and f2.8 sharper, wider depth of field, giving photographers DSLR level creative control directly from a smartphone. That range matters. Here's why. On a main wide camera, the Aperture's primary practical benefit is exposure control, being able to stop down in bright sunlight without neutral density filters or computational workarounds. For video, the value is even clearer. Closing the aperture allows longer exposure times per frame and introduces natural motion blur for cinematic footage, something the current fixed lens simply cannot do optically. If you shoot video on your phone, even casually, this is the upgrade you have been waiting for without knowing it. But here's where the story gets complicated. The biggest difference between the Pro and Pro Max this year is the camera. The Pro Max is expected to get the variable aperture main camera first for any iPhone, while the standard Pro gets enhanced telephoto lenses instead. So if you were planning to buy the regular 18 Pro for the camera, you need to know that. And it is not the first time Apple has done this. Back with the iPhone 12 Pro Max, Apple gave the bigger model sensor shift stabilization first. The smaller Pro caught up the following year. The pattern here looks identical. So variable aperture on the Pro Max, now probably on the standard Pro next year. That is the camera story. That is the one they are not putting in the headline. If you want to understand exactly why fixed aperture has been such a ceiling for iPhone video work, up to this point, I did a full breakdown on the 17 Pro Max camera system. That context makes everything I am saying here land harder. Link is below. Okay, the A20 Pro. The A20 Pro will be Apple's first chip built on TSMC's N2 two-nanometer process node, a manufacturing transition that involves far more than shrinking a number. Every iPhone chip, from the A14 to the A19 Pro, uses FinFET transistors. The fundamental switch controlling current flow inside the chip is shaped like a three-dimensional fin, with gate metal contacting the silicon channel on three sides. Without going too deep into physics, that architecture is hitting its physical limits. At 3 nanometers, current leaks through even when it is supposed to stop. This advanced chipset is rumored to deliver approximately 15% faster performance and up to 30% greater power efficiency compared to its A19 predecessor. 15% faster sounds boring, 30% more efficient does not, because here is what 30% efficiency actually means in daily use. The iPhone 17 Pro Max already holds first place in battery life testing across 35 smartphones, a ranking achieved not through brute battery capacity, but through the A19 Pro chip's efficiency. The A20 Pro will extend that advantage, so you have a phone that already beats everything, and it is about to get measurably more efficient on top of that. Apple is also reportedly adopting new UMCM packaging technology, which integrates memory directly alongside the CPU, GPU, and neural engine, leading to improved data transfer speeds and enhanced AI processing. The AI story on this phone is going to be massive once Apple announces it. But for now, the chip is not just a spec bump, it is an architectural shift, and those only happen every few years. If you want the full AI and chip breakdown the moment Apple confirms everything in September, hit subscribe. That video goes live the day of the announcement. Okay. And everything I just told you about the camera and the chip, that is actually the second best reason to pay attention to this phone. What's coming up next is the part that directly changes the math on whether you should upgrade, and most reviews are going to bury it. Let's talk about what you will see on day one. Apple doesn't appear to be planning a dramatic redesign for the iPhone 18 Pro. Instead, the company is expected to refine the existing design while focusing on internal improvements, which, fair enough, the 17 Pro design is genuinely good. There is not much to argue with there, but a few things are actually changing. The dynamic island has been redesigned with a 35% smaller footprint, achieved by relocating Face ID infrared sensors beneath the display glass. The result is a more immersive edge-to-edge viewing experience that feels genuinely premium. Now, is a smaller pill going to make you drop $1,000? No, but it is the kind of thing you notice every single time you use the phone. Death by 1,000 pixels. Multiple reports suggest a massive jump in brightness from the current 1,600 nits HDR and 3,000 nits peak. Outdoors, full sun, you will never squint again. And then there are the colors. A trusted source revealed one of the new colorways for the iPhone 18 Pro to be dark cherry, replacing the iPhone 17 Pro's cosmic orange option. Other shades are said to include light blue, dark gray, and silver. Dark cherry. Laughs. Apple naming a color dark cherry while selling it for over $1,000 is the most Apple sentence I have ever said. One thing worth flagging, reports indicate the camera module will be larger with a 2mm increase in the camera bump compared to the iPhone 17 Pro. While this adjustment may slightly alter the device's aesthetics, it is a necessary trade-off to house the advanced components, including the new lens system. 2mm is not nothing, especially if you use a case. Just something to factor in, right? The price. Initial rumors suggested a significant price hike of $200 to $300 for the iPhone 18 Pro. However, more recent reports indicate a modest increase of just $50. $50 is more manageable. But here is the context. Apple raised the price of its Macs and iPads in June 2026. iPhones have been held back so far. The question is whether that holds through September. And there is a compounding factor. Every new iPhone introduced in September 2026 will likely start at $999 or more. Because the standard iPhone 18, Apple is reportedly planning to release only its premium models in September 2026. The standard iPhone 18 and iPhone 18e would follow in spring 2027. So if you walk into an Apple store this September looking for any iPhone under $1,000, you are getting the 17 or older. That is the new reality. Which, by the way, is not necessarily bad news. The 17 Pro is an extraordinary phone. If you are currently on a 16 or older, it is probably the smarter buy right now. More on that in the verdict. One more thing before we get to the verdict. Apple's next generation C2 modem chip is expected in 2026, and it is expected to be more capable than the current C1 and C1X. The C2 could feature millimeter wave 5G connectivity, and it will be closer in performance to the Qualcomm modem chips it will replace. This matters more than people realize. For years, one of the arguments for Android flagships was modem performance. Qualcomm's chips were measurably faster in real-world network conditions. The C2 modem will support a privacy-focused, limit-precise location setting that cuts down on the location data available to mobile networks.